Good evening.
How are you?
We are wonderful.
Good evening.
It's a pleasure to have you here.
Thank you so much.
I just want everyone to know that, I met Megan several years ago, right? And,
yes,
she was bubbly and came to a networking group that I was in and just bubbly and all this kind of, juicy stuff and was just as happy as a lark. And I guess, I don't know, one day we got to talking and, she told me about Barton, her husband. And ever since ever since meeting them, my life has just changed. And I'm such a supporter of everything that you do and everything that you stand for. So I want to welcome you. And they've just launched their new book, which, I love helping people promote their books, but especially this one. And, they stand for love. And Barton with cerebral palsy and Megan, it's just an amazing story. So, and I want to say, when I started reading the book, and I was it's fabulous, actually. And I'm amazed. It's so funny and it's so intimate and it's so real, and anybody and everybody is going to want to read this book. And it's a fast read. But I want to say that when I was reading it and I was reading the foreword, I really was amazed at how well written the foreword was. And then the whole book is so well written. And this is a mentor, trainer of Barton's, because Barton is a black belt. And the final words in this foreword was, "Live free, my beautiful friends, live free." And it just choked me up. So, welcome. Thank you for being here.
So much.
So, tell our listeners just a tidbit of how you began and where you began.
Good.
Well, I was living in Alabama at the time, and Barton was in Tucson, Arizona. Both of us train in martial arts. So I had traveled to Arizona for an informal training seminar. And while I was there, I was at one of my friends' houses. It was February 15th, so right after Valentine's Day. And there was this commotion. Everybody was going, Barton's coming. And I didn't know who Barton was. So he came, and the first thought I had was, how can Barton train in a wheelchair? And later I learned that. But we only had enough time to say hello, goodbye. And then later, a few months later, I came back and we had a chance to talk to each other, and we realized we both loved poetry. We both trained in martial arts. We had similar family experiences, and our relationship grew from there.
Personally, I was pretty smitten the moment that I went lead, although at the time I did not think much of it. It wasn't until we met again 3 or 4 months later that I really began to realize that it was a bit more than just lust.
So it wasn't until 3 or 4 weeks later, what? Or 3 or 4
times? It took a while for Barton to realize that it wasn't just, lust or that intense feeling.
We had the chance to work together, and I began talking about writing and what I was telling him. And she told me that she was also a writer. So I got all excited when that happened.
Because of the time difference,
So
I would
okay,
wake up and there would be an email with a poem waiting for me.
Right, and you would write poetry back and forth to each other.
Yes. Yeah.
So did you so when you met Barton, I know that you told the story that you might not have been all that welcoming and that nice, but then after you realized things shifted for you.
Yes.
Right? Can you explain that?
Yes. And actually, one of the trips to Tucson, we were in the kitchen cleaning dishes after a large seminar, and I was being very patronizing, kind of in a very high Southern Alabama voice, and one of my friends called me out on it, and she said, do you have a problem with Barton? Look, he's a man, he's trained, he's done everything any other guy out there can do. Don't patronize him. And it was like in that moment, that veil of assumptions fell down for me. And, I think ever since then, we see each other as, wife and husband or male and female. We're able to see each other in those roles. And I try not to be so patronizing and doing everything for Barton.
And if she is, I tell her to back off or
I bet you do. So I just want to remind everybody out there that we are taking phone calls, we're taking questions, we're taking comments, everything. So just give us a call at 919-518-9773. If you have a question for Megan and Barton, feel free to call. We'd love to have your input. So in the early days, you were just passionately in love. You saw each other. You wrote poetry back and forth.
We still are.
Yeah. I love you too. I swear I do. I just do. It's just, I have so many questions. But initially your families were not totally on board, but we'll get to that. Megan, so the veil came off. What was it about Barton that you saw that made a difference when you stopped patronizing? What did you see in this man?
I saw Barton, well, first of all, his humor. Our humor is throughout the book. You can see it on his face. It just comes across, and it's very contagious. So there's that. There's obviously Barton's personality and his humor just brightens the room. And I've seen him really want to step up and take on higher roles of responsibility of being a husband who wants to take care of his family. And,
like what? What are those higher roles, Barton?
So I've seen a whole lot of men who, for one reason or another, choose the easy road, whether that's not getting married or getting married and then walking away because it's too hard. Um, um, um,
And I would also say, okay.
Can you explain a little bit of that?
Yes. So, Barton's talking about, for some men, it's easy to walk away or to not get married or to leave just because it's easier.
But as a man, I feel that my role is not only to protect and provide for my family, but also to open the space for my family to grow into their full potential.
So his role of a man is to, not just to protect you, but open up the space
for our family to grow.
I got it.
To allow Megan to grow into her full potential.
And to allow for me to grow into my fullest potential.
So I know in the book you talk about the physical and the spiritual.
Yeah.
So I mean, for most couples, I mean, it's maybe somebody's stronger in one than in another, but there's some kind of a balance. So you find your balance.
Yeah.
So beautiful. I mean, how do I put it? You have identified a whole new way of looking at balance.
Yeah.
Right? Let me just say, Chris on the chat says, I am in awe of you both and the love you have for each other. It's so evident in the way you talk about and with each other. And how you look at each other. Your love is truly beautiful. Thanks for being here.
Thank you. Thank you. I think it's when we're together that people see that love shine through. It really is when we're both together. We might be walking out in the street, but somebody sees that, and it really shatters everybody's expectations. It's one of the greatest privileges, I think, of being in our relationship. Yeah.
Well, I am all about breaking walls.
Yeah.
And stigmas, and I have to say, and then I want to go to that people are commenting on the chat. I have to tell everyone out that one of the most extraordinary experiences I ever had, and I could cry about it really, was that Barton and Megan and I and my husband met for dinner. Right, we went for sushi, I think, and we live in North Raleigh, and there's a major road right near where the restaurant was, Six Forks, and coming on Six Forks, right up Six Forks was Barton in his wheelchair with Megan sitting on his lap. And that's how they went home. And I'll tell you something. It's a beautiful thing to be a part of something that could be so frightening from an outsider. To be able to see it in such a new light. It takes all the fear away from what I can't even imagine. And Ronnie on our chat says, the book is inspiring to me as a guy in a wheelchair. It tells me that love conquers all, no matter wheelchair or not.